suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, imposing strict limitations on the number of people who may gather in one place. This meeting of the Recreation Commission is being held via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. Voting will be done by roll call vote. Residents who would like to attend or listen to the meeting may do so via BCAT Government Access Channel or by dialing 408-418-9388 with the meeting number 173-809-7578. Great. So, Brendan, do you want to go out of order and have BCAT, Burlington Players, agenda item come up first?
Sure. Do you want to you want to hold the minutes until after that as well?
Sure.
Okay. So Robert Hollisey and I believe Jason is Toppin are both here from the Burlington Players. I am going to Robert, are you okay if I make you a presenter, or do you want me to just share my screen, the PDF on my screen?
Whatever works best for you.
All right. Why don't I put it up there? Put the document up on the screen, and then when you're ready to move the page, just let me know and I'll move it. But they are here from the Players. We had talked at our last meeting. We had a conversation. They would like to add some new seats to not additional, just brand new seats. They'd like to redo their seating at the Playhouse up at Overlook Park. And I'm going to share that on the screen. And Robert, if you want to, just start the process, and I'll get that right up there.
Sure. Let me just start. I'm going to turn most of it over to Jason Toppin to present. Can everybody hear me? Yep. Okay. For those of you who have been to the theater over the last few years, you've probably noticed that the seats that we had for the patrons were pretty uncomfortable. They were old cloth seats. Some of them had tears in them. Some of them had the springs that were coming up through the seats. And there were a number of seats in the way that the auditorium was configured, where the patrons really had to kind of crane their necks to be able to see most of the action on the stage. So when we went out to look for new seats, so that for the comfort of the patrons, we also looked at whether we could resolve some of the issues with people craning their necks, and also on the plan, some of the irregularities of the stage that from time to time would cause problems for both performers and audience members. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jason Toppin, who's drawn up the plans and kind of solved a lot of the problems in terms of that configuration.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I'll just preface this that we have tried to solve all of the problems. We'll see how far we get. Brendan, are you sharing? Because I'm not seeing it.
We can't hear you, Brendan. You're muted.
I'm grabbing the file right now. I'm sorry.
If it's easier, I can pop it up as well. Just let me know.
While we're waiting, did all the commissioners see the attached document that Brendan sent? It's probably the same slides.
It is.
We're getting there. Sorry. Very slow. And it's coming out portrait.
Tell you what, Brendan, let me try to share. I have the PowerPoint open.
Okay.
That
Thank
may
you.
just be easier. No problem. Give me 1 second.
There we go.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, you're quite welcome. So again, this is a proposal, and I don't want to make it sound like we have too many of the questions answered and the problems solved. But we understand that this is a town-owned building and that this has to go through both approval with your organization, and then of course everything has to go through building. And so this is an attempt to kind of give you the overview of what we hope to do. So the executive summary, if you'd like here, is that we propose to replace our existing seats. And the current proposal is that we will install 78 seats from a major regional seating supplier. Our permitted room capacity right now is currently 80 persons. And our ticket sales have traditionally been capped at 75, a cap that we would maintain because there is always in community theater the opportunity for maybe one extra body than we were expecting. So we will keep that ticket sales capped at 75, giving us those 3 seats as a little bit of wiggle room. The seats themselves are from Hussey Seating up in Maine. Our proposal here is for 67 fixed seats, shown on the left, and 11 freestanding interlocking. Those would be in our front rows. They are freestanding in the sense that they are bolted. They are not bolted to the ground, but they interlock with each other so that audience members don't have the freedom to scoot themselves into aisles and whatnot. The main goal with those 11 freestanding interlocking seats is to give us a significant amount of flexibility when it comes to our ADA seating requirements for wheelchairs. And our proposed layout is on the screen. It is not far from what we have in the building currently. The main change, as Robert mentioned, is that section 2. Currently we have 2.5 rows, about 8 seats, maybe 10 in section 2. It's that middle that's facing on the diagonal towards the stage. Everybody who's ever come to our space and sat in our space and worked in our space or seen a show in our space knows that section 2 is absolutely the best seats in the house. So we're attempting to expand that, going from, again, 8, maybe 10, to 16 seats. It shortens section 1 slightly, getting rid of some of the seats that were the worst seats in the house. And then section 3 is effectively unchanged. Robert also alluded to the fact that we would like to even off the front edge of the stage. It's a very awkward trapezoid right now. The first time an actor comes to a rehearsal in our space, they tend to fall off the front edge of the stage. It's only 4 inches, so it's not much of a step. But and then whenever we're dealing with audiences, it's the same thing. When we're having people exit at the end of the show and you've got a mass of bodies and people loitering, it's always nice to have a cleaner, straighter edge. So that's really about it. It's not a huge change, but it is redoing the platforms that our seating is currently bolted to. So again, that's what triggers this sort of deeper review of what we're trying to do and the next steps that come from that. I mentioned earlier that we were using those interlocking self-supporting seats in our front 2 rows. Our goal there is, again, is to increase our ADA compliance. Our space is big enough that we need 4 wheelchair seats with a companion seat next to it, and this does give us the flexibility to scale up and down as patrons do arrive. We will be able to accommodate them without significant change. And again, so I'm showing section 1, row 1, and section 3, row 1. Back to this slide. It's the seats here and the seats here will be the ones that are on ground level, interlocking, and adaptable for wheelchair compliance. As far as the construction in the space, it will not alter significantly from what we have today. The seating platforms will be custom-built wooden structures adhering to prescriptive deck code. And I'll note here, absolutely anything that the building department tells us we have to do. If we have to underpaint sides for flame resistance, that's fine. If we have to hard face things so that there's no possible of underneath storage, whatever it is that building comes back and says you will do, we will do. The only requirement really from our seating manufacturer is that the tops of these platforms are 1.5 inches thick, so 2 layers of 3/4. That gives enough bolt depth to meet their needs. Our goal is to have a 4-inch rise between each row. That's slightly less than it is today, but also evens it out compared to where it is today. There is a short spot in the ceiling that we have had conversations with building in the past that we will again abide by whatever decision they come to. But where we are right now is that we have an 80-inch ceiling in the last corner. Again, we will underclose the things so that there's no access, no storage. We can underpaint for fire resistance. And of course, whenever there needs to be a step for our 12 and 16-inch risers, the 6 and 8-inch step, we will provide those, and they will be marked, they will be lit, and there will be handrails. Again, significant improvement over what's in the space today. So that's really, that's really the extent of this summary. And what it is that we are trying to do. I'll pop back to the layout because I imagine if there's questions, it will be about this. And with that, if there are any questions, please feel free.
Okay, so I love it. It looks great. The only concern I would have that you've already addressed is the building inspector approving everything so that we don't find that we did something in violation. You did a great presentation. You should run for political office during COVID. You'd be great.
Thank you anyway.
So do any of the commissioners have questions or comments? Dave?
I would just say same thing that you said. Great job on the presentation. I have absolutely no problem with what you guys plan on doing. So good job explaining everything, and I think it'll be a great improvement for the theater. So I have no questions. Great job.
Okay. Commissioner Gaffney, Bill?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess there isn't any questions to this particular plan. All of it makes sense. But I think it's, I don't have the background on what is going on here with regard to the town and the group. Is this a lease arrangement? Is it, do they have complete access to it, or is it available for other functions in the town? Maybe to the rec department chair.
Okay, I'll pass that to Brendan, and Brendan can answer it.
They do have a lease agreement with the town. You may have 1 year left, I believe, on it. And then it will come up for a vote again. They do have exclusive use of the building. They do use every portion of the building and use it effectively. And over the years, it has been, I go in twice a year, sometimes more if I have to check on something or if there's a question on something. But I've met with Robert, I've met with Hugh, who was before him, to tour the building and make sure things are not blocking fire exits, the electric panel. Years ago, that was the case. There was things all over the place. So we do go in a couple times a year, and it's usually random, but with a couple days notice, and take a look through to make sure things are all right. And I just also want to mention that I did share this after our last meeting. I spoke with Robert. I did share this with the building department. I did follow up this week. They've been a little bit busy. He did say, the building inspector said, it did drop from my radar. He is picking it back up, and we'll have a conversation. If there's anything that needs to be addressed before it gets to their point, some tips, pointers, does it trigger a larger ADA compliance throughout the building by replacing seats. So that conversation will be had between the building, in the building department office, and that will be relayed back to the Burlington players.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is who's paying for this?
They are
Burlington
paying
players.
for it.
We-
Okay,
Players paying.
yeah, 'cause I think it's a great setup, and if I think around town, or kind of the tweener meetings that you'd have, that are too small for the Fogelberg, the Grandview Farm doesn't quite work because it's flat, but here you've got the risers and the chairs where, maybe in the next year to think about maybe the town having access to these when it's not in use by the players. Because I know the players, have they're playing and it's a number of weekends and things like that, but maybe during the week when it's not in use and there's special items that the town could use on this for this, this size and this configuration, I think that'd be a benefit to the town and maybe kind of a nice handshake in the next agreement versus the exclusivity saying your town can't go in there.
Yeah, I would certainly welcome that. One of the things that Brendan and I had talked about is the possibility of we're a volunteer organization, so most of our work is after school into the evening. So our adult group works in the at night. The children's groups will work more in the afternoons and early evening. So during the bulk of the day, most of the time the building is not in use. And this could be a good place to do, for instance, a presentation before people go out on a nature walk or something of that effect. And we're certainly open to that, and can develop, a schedule where we have people both from the players and from rec who can go and schedule on the calendar.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It's great input, Bill. Anyone else, Tom?
I just want to agree that I think it looks like a very good plan, and I want to congratulate the gentleman for coming up with it. I support it. The players bring a good addition to the community, and I think it's important to support them in their efforts. And so clearly, anything that they can do to make their stage area better for them and more comfortable for the public, I think is a good thing. So I appreciate them for stepping up and doing the work and raising the funds to pay for this, and I certainly support their efforts.
Okay, so if no one else has any comments, can we bring it to a vote to support the proposed seating, how do we want it, seat replacement plan by the players? And could someone take that as a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, by Dave, second by Bill. And is there any discussion before we vote? Okay, so needs to be a roll call vote. So Commissioner Norton,
Aye.
Commissioner Gaffney,
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy,
Aye.
and Commissioner Sullivan. Aye. So 4 in favor, no opposed, it passes. Jason Newberry, good luck with the project, and I know Brendan will keep on top of things just to make sure that the building inspector is happy with everything. That's the only important thing that on my end is that everything's up to code. So great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks.
It's the new, I'm saying Jason, it's the Newberry Loft. I get what it's saying. Sorry,
I knew what you meant. That's all right. Thank you.
sorry.
All right.
Okay, so
Bye-bye.
why don't we just, we'll get back to the regular schedule agenda. And we have the minutes of June 9th, 2021. And Bill suggested that we add when it came to the pickleball courts, the lineage, and Bill, tell me if I get it right. Commissioner Gaffney also suggested the possibility to mark up 2 courts on either side of the center ice line on the roller hockey rink to utilize that space during hours when roller hockey is not typically used and there's a wait on the pickleball court. He didn't think there was a need for nets because many players already own their own nets. So we would insert that in the discussion on the pickleball courts. Did anyone else have any adjustments to the minutes before we vote? Okay, so if we could vote on the minutes as amended, and can I have a motion?
So moved, Bill.
Second,
By Bill, second by
second,
Dave. Okay, great. So roll call vote. Commissioner Norton,
aye.
Commissioner Gaffney,
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy. We saw you mouth it, but do you want to, just for the official, give a thumbs up or something?
Sorry, aye.
And Commissioner Sullivan, aye. So the minutes pass. Then we'll go to the Director of Parks and Recreation report. And Brendan, it's going to be verbal, right? You didn't send anything out?
Correct. Correct. I can send it out after I have it. It's quite busy here in the summer, so I apologize. So we have received, as far as the new facility, we've received occupancy permits for the entire building. And have begun to move some items in. I'm sure Bill will touch on it a little bit more. With the anticipated rain tomorrow, it will allow us time to move some more items in. There are a few punch list items that they're still taking care of. I'd say 90% of them have been addressed. I went through the building again today to check on the list that we had sent in 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they are addressing them. And one of the things that they are waiting on, not all of the cores for the door locks were correct. So right now, just our superintendent and our 2 foremen have keys to the building because not all the doors are keyed correctly. So we're limiting what we're going, who's going in, and we don't want to move everything in yet until we know that it's secure and just our keys will open the doors. They still have some construction cores in some of them. So that being said, I know the locks are on order. They did come, one of the locksmiths came in this week, but was not able to get everything in. So I think their plan is to finish up early next week. And again, we will be moving in some more non-essential things. Snow plows can go down there. Attachments for equipment that we're not using right now can go down there, things like that. So that is ongoing. And then the large door, which I believe is door number 16, when you pull into the parking lot, it's for our large equipment bay. It's the one you see. There's a part that needed to be replaced. So that door is not functioning yet. It was, but a part failed on it, or I'm not sure what exactly happened. They just need to replace it. So, again, it makes it a little more difficult for us to fully operate out of there without that door opening. So that is all underway. Our plan hopefully is to be in there by the end of next week. If everything's repaired, be in there and working out of there. I don't really want to work out of 2 spots if we can help it. Staying with the new facility, we had a conversation yesterday afternoon. There will be a ribbon cutting ceremony on Monday, July 26th at 9 a.m. It will be by invite only. The ceremony will include, the Recreation Commission, the Select Board, the Town Administrator, the construction company, our staff. I think I mentioned the building committee. If I didn't, anyone that was on the building committee, and I'm sure there will be press there as well. And we have been asked to designate a member of our commission to say a few words during the ceremony. So I'll leave that, if you want to talk about that right now, then I can make sure it's in the notes.
Okay, so why don't we just cover it right now? Commissioner Norton, Dave, you were on that committee. It was your project. Could you say a few words on behalf of the Recreation Commission?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm on vacation, but I'm coming back for that one. So yeah, absolutely. I'll say a couple of words. No
Okay.
problem.
Also, the second item, so Dave, again, this could affect your decision to say you'll say a few words, so you don't have to come home from vacation. They'd like to do an open house on July 31st, so that next Saturday, so that'll be a Monday. And then the following Saturday, they'd like to do an open house for residents and just kind of show off the new building, the new facility. The details are still being worked out on that, but it looks like it would be 9 to 11 in the morning. And we may, have a couple staff there just to show people around and keep them out of areas they're not supposed to be in as well, and getting into supplies and equipment. So that will take place on July 31st. So the reason I said that, Dave, if you were coming home that next weekend, so you didn't have to come home from vacation, that's all.
No, that's fine. I have that following week, the 31st, I actually have a family commitment, so
Okay.
That Monday's no problem. No problem.
Okay. Excellent. I will let them know. So those two items are coming up. The next thing I have is, I mentioned it a while ago. I've been working with a student, it's called the SEED program or C Group, SEA. They're the Student Environmental Activist, Action Group at the high school. It started working with them, I think, back in the winter time about a potential tree planting project around Earth Day. We settled on planting some trees outside of the pickleball courts along Church Lane in that fenced-in section. And the purpose of the project was twofold. One, to kind of spruce up that area that has traditionally been overgrown. And the second was to provide some extra sound dampening to the noise that comes from the pickleball courts. And the group turned out in great numbers to start the planting. They donated $1,500. One of the students' parents works for an environmental company. I forget if it was solar or some other alternative energy, but donated $1,500 towards the price of trees. We bought some blue spruce and some Alberta spruce to go in there. When they're fully grown, they get to about 15 feet high and they can go up to about 20 feet wide. So it was all well intended, but the digging did not go so well. We quickly found out that a lot of the ledge that was blasted for the courts was put in there. We were hoping to find pockets where we could get some trees in. We did get one token tree in there. In the rest, we had to, come up with a new plan, and we planted one up by the wading pool. And then the other ones filled in spots where some of our shrubs from the retaining wall up further towards the baseball and softball field, where some of those shrubs that have been planted 5 years ago had failed. So we do have 4 trees that will go in along the hillside there. 2 of them are already in, and we have 2 more that will be planted in the coming days. So it was not all for naught. They were able to plant some trees, which is what they wanted to do, and they wanted to get them into a park. So we have sent off a thank you to the group. It was a group of seniors and juniors, so it was a good mixed group. And the teacher that worked with the group, the advisor, said, this group will be around next year, be an active group. So we'll look towards another project next year as well with the group.
All right. Brendan, did you mention it was pouring out during the tree planting?
Oh, yes, no, I didn't. It was pouring. And, we had two of our maintenance guys working on it. Got right in there digging large rocks out. And it happened to be our two foremen, Brian Cullinan and Mark Gerbrands. They were soaked. Everyone was soaked. The students didn't seem to be bothered by it. They just kept working through. They went out and got a donation from Wegmans to provide drinks and snacks and stuff. So they had a good afternoon. They stuck around. We started around 3:30ish, and they stuck around until 6:30, 7 o'clock. So they really, the students did a great job, and we're thankful for our staff for their help and assistance in the project as well. But yes, it did pour at points.
All right.
I'm still
Well,
drying out.
So Brendan, do you think we could invite them on our August meeting? I know we're doing some thank yous. If we could also invite them
I think it'd be better to go in September.
September when they're in
Yeah,
school.
they're away. Some of them were going to be freshmen in college. They may not attend, but maybe the teacher and some of the underclassmen
Okay,
who may be seniors this year. So,
perfect. So if we could schedule that for September. Anyone have any comments? Okay.
all right. Our next item, just quick update on the Rihanna Park paving project. I know that was something that we were hoping they would be done by the start of our programs, but when they ran into the lack of a base layer, the subsurface over on the back parking lot at off the Patriot Road side, that delayed the project, and then they found the same over on the Mill Street side, so that helped delay it a little. And then there's wood guardrail going around the entire parking lot. And as we all know, the cost of wood and the availability of wood products, like many other things, was delayed. So they have completed the guardrail in the Mill Street side. They're working on the Patriot Road side. They hope to have it finished this week, but I think it's going to be next week with the rain that's coming all day tomorrow. It's going to be early next week. They will then come in and do all the curbing, and then they will put the final layer on. It looks good. They'll stripe everything. It's much improved, and every time I'm over there, someone walking through or coming to use the park makes a positive comment on the project. So we're thankful that the engineering department took that up as their paving project for this year, their parking lot project. So while we're at Rahanis, we might as well talk about the tennis court resurfacing. And the same thing, product is hard to come by, has been delayed. So we're not, they could start it in July, but we have a tennis program going on there. It's the heart of the tennis season. They need about a week to complete everything. So we have to push this until August when our tennis program is done. We also have a Club 50 tennis program there as well. So all these, materials and things that come in for projects because of the pandemic have been delayed. And I did get a guarantee from the company that when the product, they were waiting on 2 tractor trailers. So for all their projects worth of paint and supplies, that they won't, because we're delayed, they won't use our product to go somewhere else. That they will, it gets set aside and we'll be ready to go in December. So we're working on updating that contract to reflect the new date. In my last item, just a community garden update. Back in April, I met with Peter Capola. He had some work that he was looking to have done at the garden, a project. And after having a discussion with him that day, the project is quite large and involved removing a large amount of hillside, cutting trees. And I reminded him of the procedure that we have, that that was voted on by the Recreation Commission, that would have to be filled out. He made mention that the department was okay with the project and had approved it. I reminded him of the process, the procedure. I did have a conversation. I emailed Bob Kuna, and a couple weeks after had a verbal conversation with him. And recently I received an email that stated that the school department wanted to take over the garden area, including the lease plots. I've never had a conversation. In my conversations with Bob, it was never discussed. I'm not against it. I'm okay with it. It's their property. If they want to take that over, my only suggestion would be that we get through this garden season before we transfer anything over, because we have responsibility for the community, the lease plots. So just wanted to put that out there.
I see Tom put his microphone on. So Tom?
I remember this time, Kev. This is the first I'm hearing of this, Brendan, so I wasn't aware of this. It certainly hasn't been discussed with the school committee formally. So I'm not quite sure what the motivator is on this or the reason for doing it. But I can say that it hasn't formally been addressed by the school committee, even talked about. So I'll try to find out some more about it from the school's perspective to find out if this proposal is actually coming from the school or is being suggested to the school from somebody else. I don't know. So I can't comment on it, but I will try to find something else about it, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I did reach out to Bob on Tuesday. I've not heard back. He could be away. I haven't heard back from him. So Eric, I'm not sure if Eric would know more about it. But I
think Eric's actually away this week as well. So
okay.
So I'll see what I can find out, and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Brendan? Dave?
Brendan, real quick on the move-in on the building. Did the DPW, I saw all the DPW trucks up there. What's the status? And they're ripping down their building.
Yeah. So
Are they moved into, they got all their stuff up there and our stuff?
So central maintenance is in their garage. So DPW has to be out of their facility, right? Because they need to do some remediation and then tear those buildings down and get them out of there. They want to get started on that. So central maintenance is in, they're operating, I believe, out of the central maintenance bay. There's nowhere else for them to go. So they are operating. The DPW trucks are coming and going from there in the morning. They have 2 trailers in the parking lot, and they are meeting their group out of the side of the building that has I'm not sure, they might be doors number 1, 2, where our small mechanics bay and our wood shop are, and then there's that 3rd bay. That's where facilities is going to be. Currently, they're using that, I think, as their kind of meetup place for the DPW staff in the morning. The craftsman guys that are out and around on the roads. But they are parking their trucks in the back. So we have some, parking things to work on. We do have Bill and I talked about this week. He's going to have a conversation with Kevin Keene about parking, but we do have the ability to put park people on the lawn at the radio tower building right next door, as long as we don't block any doors or paths. But they are operating out of there because they don't have anywhere to go. So their trucks are parked on the backside. They should not interfere with us.
They're going to be going to our old building, though. That's where they're going to. Now,
They're going to store some things up at our building. They're not going to work out of our building. They're going to work out of that site down there. And during the winter months, we would share the center drive of our garage with the vehicles that would be called out in the middle of the night for sanding operations or anything like that.
Okay. And we're gonna start moving in this next week?
We're hoping to be fully in next week,
Okay,
by the end of next week.
very good, thank you. That's all I
Okay.
got there.
Let's see, Brendan, I had one quick question. The maintenance craftsman position that's now open because we've done all the promotions. When are you gonna put that out to get candidates?
Thank you. My plan is next week to start posting it. I'd like to have someone hired in early August to start in September. Or before, if we can find a good candidate. So we'll post it and start the interview process in August. End of this month, beginning of August.
Excellent. All right, anyone else have any questions for Brendan? Okay, and then if we could go to the Superintendent of Recreation Maintenance, Bill Baker. Do you have any update you want to give us?
Sure. As Brendan talked about with the move into the new building, it's been going a little slow. We've been trying to take advantage of whatever wet weather we've been having, and it hasn't been too much, so we've been kind of almost taking turns up here, picking through things and packing things up. But so it's been little by little. Hopefully we can get more things moved maybe tomorrow and certainly next week. The wading pool has been up and running well. We were a little worried about the water test for the opening inspection. It was sent out around the time of the E. coli problem, but the test came back fine and it's running fine. The maintenance crew's been busy keeping the summer program areas maintained as well as the other areas. We've fertilized approximately 8 parks and fields the week of June 19th. We have hung the acoustic block soundproofing at the pickleball courts to try to deaden the sound traveling through the Church Lane neighborhood. The crew, and Brendan talked about, the crew planted some baby blue spruce trees and Fraser fir trees along the Church Lane hill. We have a couple more to plant there at Simon's. Playgrounds, we've replaced all the swings that we took down for social distancing during COVID. Those are all back up at all the playgrounds. And we've been doing our best to keep up with our trimming, cutting, lining, grooming, restroom maintenance, and trash pickup. That's about what I got.
Okay, questions for Bill? Dave?
Did we get the new overseer yet?
No, it's not in yet. It's going to be delivered to the new building, I believe.
Okay. I saw that, yeah. We're supposed to get it around July. So you got a big week ahead of you, Bill. Moving
Yeah,
on.
it looks it. It looks it.
Good luck with the moving.
Thank you.
Hopefully
You're on
everything goes-
vacation. You're on vacation. If you want to help, we could use a couple hands.
I would love to, but I'm going on vacation.
Hey, Bill, any idea how that soundproofing went on the pickleball court? I saw them hanging it around, they were still there around 6 o'clock last night.
Yeah, they were. It's all up. There's some ties that still need to be. It still needs to be tied down in some areas, but it's up, and probably 3/4 of it is completely tied down. I mean, it's so heavy, it's not moving anywhere. It's just the ties have to be placed on the bottom of about probably 10 of the panels.
All right, but they were playing pickleball when they were working up there. Any indication if it'll make a difference for the neighbors?
I couldn't really tell. I think personally, I think if we could block off the bottom sections at some point, because it's still about 2 feet down the bottom, I think that would help. But I mean, it certainly helps already with the amount we'll put up.
Okay, we'll find out from the neighbors. Dave?
Brendan, do you think we should call the neighbors to see if it's helped at all? Just so,
Yep,
Oh.
I will hear from the neighbors, but I will follow up with them, on, give it a week, or maybe after this weekend, actually, will be good. So I was here 2 Sundays ago, after my vacation, at about 8 o'clock in the morning, I got an email, from one of the neighbors, asking about, someone was playing music up there, so, they're actively engaged in communicating with me. So I will follow up with them early next week after we have a weekend. They're not going to get anything tomorrow because of the rain. But this weekend looks to be decent, and next week looks, good weather, 70s and low 80s. So it'll be prime for pickleball play.
thank
So
you.
I will follow up with them. There's a couple that I do speak with, one in particular.
Okay, Bill?
Yeah, I'd only add to that. I played with a couple of people, my neighbor and one of my friends and my brother-in-law on Friday at noon. And we were up there, the last time we played, it's been a couple of Fridays have been wet. And there was a couple that were actually playing tennis, and they brought a speaker with them and playing music out there. And I can understand how the neighbors would be upset with that. And I personally, the playlist was horrible. These people weren't old people; they were young people, and the playlist was probably the worst playlist I'd heard in a long time. And it was just, it was like John Denver and for this young couple, it was just. So I can understand how the neighbors can get upset for any music, but if those people show up again. But they were the tennis players, funny enough. That they were playing the music. I don't know if I've seen pickleball players playing music there.
There are a couple pickleball players. They have been brought to my attention. I've had a conversation with one of them and asked, not to play music during pickleball. He said, all right, 99% of the time we won't play music, but every once in a while. I said, nope, 100% of the time. I can't put every single rule up there too. Someone said, oh, you should put a rule up there about no music. But, we put one up about no music. Someone wears red fingernail polish and it blinds someone on the other side. Then I'll have to put one up about red. So it's, I know who's playing the music. I've had conversation with one of them. The other one plays on a specific day, and I'll speak with her as well.
Well, I know that Kelly will tell you that when I rent the gym to play indoor pickleball, not last year but the year before, I was allowed to use the sound system there, and I had the tunes cranking. It was a great time, But
Yeah.
that was no one else probably heard that besides someone at the desk downstairs. And
Maybe we can make a provision that there's no music unless Bill is okayed the song.
Who was that, Bill? Metallica?
Well, if you go into Casey and the Sunshine Band, I'm all over it.
Just for the record, I'm a huge John Denver fan.
Hey, I saw a John Denver impersonator before COVID, and he did a fantastic job. It was over in Stoneham Theater, a larger venue than what we have here with the players. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
That's great. Just one last question, Bill. Fiber mulch, has that been done this year on all the playgrounds? I didn't see it this year, or I didn't notice it.
Earlier in the year, it has. We could use a refresher coming up. Actually, most of the playgrounds are still pretty full. It's there's none really lacking too much.
Excellent. That's great to hear.
Just, we do the schools will get done in August before they go back. And I know Bill has the guys raking stuff back because it gets kicked out from under swings and the end of slides. So, but we'll do all the school properties in August.
Excellent. If we don't have anything else for Bill, can we do the program coordinator report and Kelly Lehman? And she's back.
Sorry. Bill said my name and I got nervous, so I just clicked out of the meeting. I didn't want to hear it. Summer programming is in full swing for us. We have approximately 500 kids in our care every week, from preschool to middle school kids, at several different locations across the town. Everything seems to be going well. We have a very young staff, and we are capping some of our programs, including our Park Place program. We started because of COVID. At this point, it remains capped because we don't have enough staff to open up more than that. So we have been managing moving participants around from program to program and trying to get as many people in as we possibly can. Our staff has done a great job doing that. The waiting pool was opened, and the waiting pool schedule this year looks a little different. It's the COVID schedule, so it opens at 3 o'clock on Mondays. Tuesday through Friday, it'll open at 2 o'clock to the public, and then it'll go to typical hours on the weekend, 10 a.m. until 8 in July and 10 a.m. until 7 in August. And that's all I have for summer programs. I'm gonna move on to Celebrate Burlington if people are okay with that.
Yep,
Okay.
go right ahead.
So Celebrate Burlington is on a schedule. We've reached out to a number of our sponsors and nonprofits and food vendors. We've got a really decent response coming back to us, which I am excited about. It's better than I had anticipated, so that's great. The event will be held on August 7th. I am coordinating now with Atlas just to ensure that we will be able to have fireworks once again this year. And finalizing the list of events that will be on the common. So we're excited to be able to do that and bring back that traditional event. In addition to our summer programs, we also have a number of camps that are offered. Jesse manages the camp situation and has Skyhawks come in mostly to do a variety of different sport camps. So we have flag football and baseball and softball and volleyball, cheerleading, just to name a few. We also have some STEM camps that she coordinates as well. We have, this year we're doing Wicked Cool Vet School, which sold out very, very quickly. So we're excited about that. And our adult softball program is off and running. There are games almost every night of the week down at Rotary and Marvin. Our numbers are a little lower for teams in all of our leagues across the board. But we were happy with the number of teams that we did get to commit to us during the COVID timeframe. That's it.
Okay, so just as the commissioners on Celebrate Burlington, if you could volunteer 4 hours during the day, it's appreciated. It's an awesome event. So if anyone's available those days, reach out to Kelly, and she'll work with you on a schedule of when you can help out. And I personally like doing the water slide. The 4 hours flies by doing that one, except for if it's cold.
Weather dependent.
Yeah. So if you have time on that day, it would be great to volunteer. She needs all the help she can get. It's huge. Any questions for Kelly or? Nope. Okay. So why don't we move on to new business then? And Brendan, you have the office assistant appointment to bring to us?
I do, but I have not connected with the candidate at this time, and I do not want to use their name in case they're
Okay.
current employer.
We'll move
So
on.
I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to schedule a meeting next week for approval. The candidate just emailed me back and hadn't gotten my earlier correspondence. We just met with the candidate this week and we want to make sure that, we had checked references. We wanted to make sure that they were still interested. So I was hoping to have this all wrapped today before the meeting, but it has dragged on. So I'm going to have to look to set a short meeting next week to approve this, because we do want to get this position filled in some training with Nancy before she retires.
Okay, so that can be a quick meeting, so that's fine there.
I would only need 3 people.
3 willing people.
Yes.
I'm around next week, so
Okay.
I'm available.
Okay, does it,
I'm
does
around.
it need to be in person or remote?
Nope, we could do remote still.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
On new business, I met with Joe Morandi the other day, and the selectmen want to request that the town common, the landscaping around the gazebo be done over. And I had reached out to Brendan. I think Brendan talked to Bill, but the selectmen officially, the commons theirs, we maintain it. So, Bill, did Brendan talk to you, or are you aware of the?
Yeah, we talked about it briefly.
So that would be something that we'd like to do. I don't know, Bill, if you have a mindset on when you can do it, so that we can give expectations to the selectmen on, figuring out the scope of the work and when it can be done.
I mean, we could take a look at it and try to get it done by the end of the month.
Okay, I don't think it needs to be done at the end of the month. I think it's more of a project than just, it's replacing all the shrubbery,
Right.
all the wood around it, kind of starting from scratch. So
Yep.
if it's possible, can we set up a meeting with some of the selectmen and yourself and some of the staff to figure out the scope of the work and then figure out a budget for it?
Sure.
Okay, great.
If I can suggest, maybe that's a great time to put it together after the opening, and we could meet in the new facility and come up with a game plan. People open to that?
On those nice desks.
Yes. Yep.
Good. Excellent. Does anyone else have any new business? Dave? Oh, you're on mute. Dave, do you have any new business?
Not new business, just, I met last week with the sculpture park. Should I talk about that now?
Oh, sure.
So, they had a meeting last Thursday. I'm the new rep for recreation. They're getting a new sculpture that's being donated by a former Burlington resident that I actually went to school with. So they're trying to come up with an area up on the sculpture park where they want to put it. So they sort of have the general idea where they want to put it. And the group, Jonathan Sachs, he's really, I mean, he's into this stuff, huge, and he's it was interesting. I mean, I went in there with an open mind, but they did the rock sculptures up there where they built the benches, and those are going to be done soon. And the one thing that they were looking for, and I know we're busy, is at the entrance of the sculpture park. It's you know, it's a little elevated and there's rocks and stuff like that. They're hoping to get that smoothed out. It's not, wouldn't be a big job. It's just, you know, there's the separation with the two, there's the stone wall, and then we can go up. Maybe a little bit smoother for the older people and maybe like if people were in a wheelchair or something like that, it would be easier to get into that that little area where the sculpture park is. So that's something that you could put on the Brendan, Bill. I know it's not a priority, but it's something that they are definitely looking forward. You know, because we do maintain that part of the property. And they'll be setting up a booth there on Celebrate Burlington, you know, to explain about the sculptures and stuff like that. So it was a good meeting. It was good to meet the people that are on the committee. So it went good.
Okay. Bill, Brendan, any comments on that?
I think it'll be difficult to get wheelchairs in there, regardless of what we do.
No, I know that. I'm just, yeah, I'm not, but it's like, yeah,
But I mean, we could knock
the
down.
wheelchairs they got today can go over everything, believe me, you know,
Yeah.
but the type,
We could knock down a little entrance right there.
it's just a little, it's probably by a 5 feet by 3 feet.
Right.
They just want it smoothed out, nothing
And
crazy.
that's where we drive the mowers in and out. We could make it certainly smoother.
Yeah, just, that's all they're looking for. They're not looking for anything, dramatic, because the Historical Society still thinks it's theirs
Right.
spot, and so they don't want to get into any big projects or anything like that.
So a transition point from the sidewalk into the field.
Yep, that's it. Yep. Nothing big.
Mhm.
Um, I think our guys can do it fairly easily. And like I said, it's nothing, it's not a priority, but they would like it done. If you could.
Okay, maybe next meeting, Bill, Brendan, you can give us an update if it's feasible and so forth,
Sure.
or if it's already done. So the other things on old business, Commissioner Gaffney had a report on the disc golf, which was awesome. It was nice to see all the pictures. So Bill, do you want to talk about that?
Sure, I'll try to bring it up if you guys haven't looked at it yet for the remainder of the commissioners. Let me see where I can find that. Oh, I got it right here. Yeah, why don't we try to do that?
That would be great.
Okay, let me find my share screen here. And I have only one screen, so let me know when you can see what I'm doing here with the PowerPoint. Okay. All right, can you see that?
Yes.
Yep, great.
All right. So what I just did was, I know from the last time we talked a little bit about the disc golf, and I go there Sunday mornings and futz around with my brother-in-law there. But after we talked, I went down there by myself, and my wife was actually going to the football field to do some step challenge at Fenway the next day. So she did a little pre-work there, and she left me at the disc golf. I met a guy from Arlington, and he turned me on to some Facebook pages. So I went on the Facebook page and see if anybody was talking about it. I only got onto the one that they have for Simons. There's only 57 followers on that. And there's one person on there, I forget the guy's name, but he recommended moving the 8th tee up the road a little bit, and so they wanted to use it a little differently, which I kind of ignored a little bit. There wasn't anybody else talking about that, and but not a lot of chatter on that in the last couple of years. But just when I was talking to the guy who had a wicked throw, he knows what he was doing. You know, I was embarrassed by my drives compared to him. But he recommended, he says, hey, if you're thinking of doing stuff, he goes, probably the main thing is the tee boxes. I said, well, I haven't really been to another course, so he's been around, recommended some other courses, but he says typically the tee boxes are longer. They're about 8 feet in length, so you kind of take a running start to it. Ours are a little difficult. They're fairly short, and there's roots around there. So people typically go to the side. I asked him about putting the field turf on that. He said, oh, yeah, that would be a good idea if you've got field turf, and that would be fine. I said, well, how about if the field turf has some, stripes in it, for old football turf? He goes, oh, that'd be fine. But just to have more of a consistent tee box. I asked him just about the layout, and he said, it was fine. It was nice that they had some trees there for some challenging courses. And then I just kind of, as I walked around the course a little bit, I thought about the things we talked about the last time. You'll see on the tee, people have taken down the sign, so people have their phones all the time. So maybe it's just for the folks that are there the first time. The gentleman from Arlington said, "Yeah, once you've got the course, you know the course, so it's not a big deal. But first timers, they don't know the course, and maybe on the first hole we have a QR code that shows the course, and then on every other, on the holes, maybe instead of putting the signs up, which people like to take, or they like to destroy." That maybe we put a QR code there that shows where the hole is. Um, maybe in just popping over to a PDF or something. I thought about if it's a scout project, maybe you can have them start. Maybe it's a little bit of fun to name the holes. The first hole would be the hole by the basketball court. The second hole is parallel to Cambridge Street, or the third hole is down to the pool, right? Those type of things, you can kind of name the holes. And then we know we talked before that there was maybe some third parties that had put the whole direction markers with spray paint. Maybe there's a way we can put hole markers with, maybe some arrows or hole numbers or things like that. Maybe like house number type stuff. There is a section that maybe the scouts tried to do this before, in the walkways to holes 6 and 7 that gets very wet, and there is timber there to walk on, but I think we could probably extend that a little bit to the areas that are typically wet down there. So just kind of some general observations as I walked down, and then I took some pictures. First tee, someone had taken the first tee sign off of that. I thought with the main signage there, when I got there, when I was taking the picture, it had the disc golf course closed until December 7th, and I turned it around, it was blank. I thought maybe what we'd say, because there's a lot of, you can find, I probably have 4 or 5 discs that I've found. My brother-in-law, I found, he's actually found them. He's got better eyesight than I do. That we found along the way that we might want to say here to say, lost disc, go to lost and found at the rec department at 61 Center Street or something like that. On this side of it, where the other side will say disc golf course closed. I don't know why that actually said it was closed. I don't know if you guys were working on it at some point, but that was in there.
It was for tree lighting and fireworks.
Okay.
So we had to cordon off half of the course.
Okay, good. And then we probably want to take that down if it's not being used, but I think people are just trying to joking around to maybe putting it there or put it up. Or maybe keep, like I said, just keep it there with the lost and found type of thing. Because like I said, is the rec department open now? Like the lost and found's available? Okay, I'll drop those off when I get a chance in my day job.
Okay.
The second tee, real quick, again, that's lost, and for folks that don't know where the hole is there, let me go pointer options and laser pointer. The holes nicely done around here. It's hidden behind the tree, so it's a tough shot. Here's the third tee. Again, you can kind of take a look at the tee box here. You can see the top part of it, and then it goes down probably about maybe 3 feet. And really what you want to do is get a running start, and maybe to even it off this. So people go on either side of it to take the running start. Typically you see that on all holes. This is the fourth hole. The basket's down this way. That's a nice little hole, nice little dog leg. Typically hit the trees there. The sign's still there, which is nice. The fifth hole, the sign is still there as well. That's nice. And you're showing the red and the white tees there, and marking on the tee boxes themselves, which is nice. The 6th tee is a little bit overgrown over that area. And it's a little bit, like I said, it's wet when you get over to the 6th and 7th. The tee over here, this would be my to the bank hole. So it's basically a straight shot. If you look at the bank, the basket's right in front of it. 7th tee got a bit blasted. That's you have basically the intersection of Church Lane and Cambridge Street right behind you there. And again, you can see how the tee boxes get beat up because they're typically going around it versus in it because of the roots don't give you the kind of that even way to get that running start. 8th hole, Church Lane's on your right. Tee box is in nice shape. And again, somebody said that they wanted to move the tee box up or over. I really didn't put too much thought into it, but there's a nice dog leg left. You take on this particular red tee, there's a boulder right there. So basically, your dog leg left starts at the boulder and then goes up the hill towards the 9th hole. And the marker is still there. The 9th hole, actually, the marker is still there. The tee box is there, but the signpost itself, it tends to move around a little bit. It tends to find some legs. So I really, me and my brother-in-law spent some time trying to figure out where this was originally posted, but we really can't find the hole where it was. So maybe at some point, again, not high priority at all, but once maybe the summer goes away and there's opportunity there to maybe to replace that, but the sign is still there. So I think that's what I had on that little presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Bill, that was awesome. It's
Mhm.
it's nice you're using it and seeing where we're weak on. So Brendan, is that something we can work on, the signs that are missing?
That is, we'll have to, I'll have to have a conversation with Kelly about where the signs came from originally. If we have copies of the files, we can print and laminate a new one. I want to say that there was a person that worked on this with me, and when I had gone to Marblehead, I think they worked with Rich, and maybe Kelly and Rich finished it up. Kelly, you could speak more to this. And that's where the signposts and stuff came in. And actually, one of our current seasonal employees on the maintenance side did the benches that are over there as an Eagle Scout project.
Very
So,
nice.
Bill has a couple good staff up at Simon's this summer. Having them put that one back into the ground, the what was it, the 9th hole? That's probably something. The Eagle Scout is actually the one that's working up there. He may enjoy doing that. But sorry, I cut Kelly off too.
No, it's okay. When Rich and I were working on it, after Brendan had left, it actually became an intern project. So we had an intern from the University of New Hampshire who created and installed all of the signage, the poles, and the tee boxes. So that's how it was done. We can certainly take a look and see if we have those files still. I'm not sure that we do. We might have to recreate some of them, but it's definitely doable.
Excellent. Well, it's amazing how many people use the disc golf course. I'm amazed. Tom, you probably see it every day, people walking by.
I do. It's crazy. I get a kick out of watching them, actually. It's, remember when it first went up, people saying, what the heck is that? Nobody will ever do that. Honest to God, it's on a Saturday or Sunday morning over there. There's more people there than there are any place else in town.
Yeah, there's a backup. There's a waiting. I was there the other morning, went by, and yeah, there's somebody up at the hole, somebody on first hole waiting to get on, and you are on the ground. People are around there, very well, populated. So
Yeah.
great job, guys. Yeah, it's a nice walk in the woods. In case you don't want, if you ever want to do it, Tom, just bring a frisbee and your hiking shoes there.
John Feinstein says golf is a great walk spoiled, so I don't know if that applies to disc golf also.
No, it absolutely does. No doubt. It's very much like my regular golf game.
In the woods?
Spent a lot of time there.
So after our last meeting, I did have a conversation with Bob Kuna about the project at the high school and the turf project, and they don't have a date for that yet. But he did mention to me that when they put in the original turf, they also had a couple rolls of turf for replacement if something ever happened to it. So they will not be using that for the new turf project. It'll be, new technology, I'm sure, and everything since then. But he said we could have those. They even have bags of infill. So I'd rather use sand for infill when we go to do those, because I don't really want to introduce rubber pellets to the nice environment there. But we could probably use sand infill. And so, the suggestions on the length of the tee boxes is great. I actually was talking to a couple disc golfers over there today, and one of them wants to volunteer to help with the project. So I think the disc golf community is very active and very into their sport, and enjoy being outdoors and doing volunteer type projects. I've had conversations with people in the past who have called me and asked about helping out. I've reconnected with them. A lot of this was pre-COVID, and then I don't hear from them again. So, if word gets out there that we're going to do some work, I think we could get some, volunteers to help with both suggestions and help our, maintenance guys as well. So it could be a nice combination project.
Brendan, maybe putting that, maybe where that sign is up there, maybe just say, hey, we'll take suggestions, and maybe just put an email on there to the rec department, and
Maybe we could just have a community meeting and, get some ideas.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for that presentation. That was nice.
maybe we'll have the community, they have it at the theater. We can have the community meeting.
There you go.
So, Bill, you're trendy on everything. What's the other new sport you're doing so we can start that next?
Well, just look at my clothes. You can tell I'm not very trendy, so.
I don't know, pickleball, disc golf, you're there.
Well, we do, I'll give you the latest is winter hiking. You get, particularly with COVID, we bought some micro spikes, and, we're up and down the hills and the mountains, and it's actually much more enjoyable than summer hiking, we've found. Funny enough, you're going over ice and snow, and it's a different hike.
Okay, well, we don't have a mountain, so we can't do that one.
Well, it's funny. We go to landlocked parcel, and you can pop around there, and it's quite a workout. Yeah, you can go up right to the top where you overlook in Middlesex Turnpike at the power lines there. It's a pretty good hike.
Excellent. All right, so did I miss anyone? Did anyone else have anything, old business, new business, school department, planning board, that needs to be included in the meeting?
Nope.
Okay. So we'll try to do a quick meeting next week to do the appointment for the office person. And then we'll look for one meeting in August that we'll try to do in person at 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Maybe going back to the traditional night was Monday nights. So
Okay.
maybe that might work. So if there's no other business, we could take a motion to adjourn.
So
So
move.
moved.
Second.
Okay, excellent. So a roll call vote. Commissioner Gaffney,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy,
Aye.
and Commissioner Sullivan, aye. So 4-0-0. So that's great. It was a good meeting, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in person at some point. It'd be great.
Where do you guys typically meet, at the main conference room?
School
Yes.
committee room.
School committee room. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
So-
everyone have a great summer.
Kevin, we'll settle on, I'll work with you on a date for that meeting, based on what people responded in that, noodle poll, and, we'll get that out to people before the end of the end of this month. So they have an idea. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good night.
Bye.